Hey guys, Alex here from Pitch and Plays with another Battlebit video. Today we're going to be looking at the M249. Now, as I'm sure you just saw from the intro clip, this gun is an absolute beast. But it's only a beast when you use it in the right sort of circumstances, and this guide is going to help you understand how you're supposed to be using this weapon, and I'll also go through some of the attachments that I'd recommend for it. So first things first, we're going to take a look at the raw stats of this weapon, and I think the best way to do that is to use True Game Data's website. There's a link in the description below. You can compare any weapon in the game with this, and you can even get the sort of time to kill charts, and it's really useful for trying to figure out which guns are the best in this class. So right here we've got the M249 and the other LMG type weapons in this game. And as we look at the time to kill, so on the horizontal we've got the distance, and on the vertical we've got the time to kill, which is how long it will take for the gun to secure that kill. Now the differences aren't very big in this category. It's, you know, basically they're all insanely quick, very high damage weapons. But this is where it gets interesting. If we change the mode from time to kill to damage per magazine, you then instantly see a different trend. And now here we see that the M249 has the highest damage per magazine out of any weapon in the game. And that is why it's so good under the right circumstances. Now it does come with a lot of downsides. There's a lot of the downsides you would expect from an LMG. It's an LMG through and through. It's heavy, it's slow, doesn't handle too well. The recoil can be problematic, but we're going to take steps to mitigate that with some better attachments. Okay, so the M249 is an LMG through and through. So what you want to do is you want to minimize its weaknesses and you want to maximize its strengths. Now, its strengths are obviously its damage per mag. With the way people bunch up in this game, it's really, really good for getting those flanks. But the downside is the gun is so slow to use that it's actually quite difficult to get to those flanks. So this is where we're going to start looking at different builds now, because there are basically two different ways to play with this weapon. The sort of very first thought that comes to mind when using an LMG is to set yourself up somewhere high with your bipod and your scope and just pepper rounds down range. But personally, I think this is more of a flanker's weapon. I don't think you want to be making this gun any slower than it is. I think it's far better to try and get behind the enemy, and to get behind the enemy you need to be a little bit quicker. So that's what we're going to try build for now. So the aim down sight speed for this gun it's painful. I'm going to be honest, it will get you killed a lot. So the first thing I would recommend doing is just equipping a red dot. You don't want to equip anything much more than that. Maybe a strike fire is actually pretty good if you want to be shooting a bit more at range. I quite like the clarity, but really a red dot, maybe a holographic if you want it to look a bit fancy. But I wouldn't really use a medium range scope with this gun just because the visual recoil is absolutely abysmal, as I'm sure you can see in the clip that I'm about to show you right now. Yep, see. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult, and the only sort of way you can mitigate that is to use a bipod. And if you're using a bipod, the moment you start firing, some sniper's going to find you, they're going to just shoot you in the head straight away, and that entire flank will be pointless. So personally, I would recommend using a red dot, trying to keep the gun as snappy as possible. And then going along with that, I'd recommend using a laser sight as well, just because the ADS is very bad with this weapon. The laser sight is just going to give you that slight edge which you're going to need if you're pushing through a building and someone rushes you with an assault rifle or an SMG. If they've got an SMG, you're probably dead anyway, but using the laser sight, you might actually have a chance with the assault rifle if the player you happen to run into isn't super quick. Now for the barrel, this is a bit more of a difficult choice because there are quite a few strong candidates depending on how you like to play. If you want the weapon to be a bit more sort of well-rounded, I'd recommend just sort of using a low impact barrel, and by low impact I mean something which just offers like slight benefits but doesn't massively alter the weapon's performance. So what I mean by that is arguably like the Vamp B or maybe the NT4 when you've unlocked it, they just help out the recoil slightly, but they don't really impact the weapon's handling too much, if that makes sense. Another option I've seen a lot of people go for is the long suppressor, and I fully understand why, because with this weapon you will be trying to do all those massive flanks. Staying undetected and unheard can be really helpful for just trying to keep those flanks going. So I would recommend using the long suppressor once you've unlocked it. So with the underbarrel attachment, what we're really sort of looking to try do is we're going to try and improve that recoil as much as we can, whilst also keeping in mind some of the sort of handling traits that the M249 has. As we've established, the M249's handling is pretty poor, which means that as a sort of reactionary weapon, if somebody gets the drop on you, there's not much you can do with the M249. And for that reason, I'd recommend using the stubby grip. It's a really great choice as you first unlock something. It helps that recoil and it really helps the draw speed as well, which might keep you in the game when someone pushes you. But following on from that, as you start to rank the weapon up, if you really sort of do like using it for beaming it at range, but you still want to have some mobility, I'd recommend the SE5 grip. It really helps with the vertical and horizontal recoil, but it doesn't quite offer much in terms of handling. If you are a more aggressive player, once you've unlocked it, I'd recommend using the B25, because it's basically like a better stubby grip and it really offers some better handling stats. So that's it in terms of the attachments. Now, this gun is an absolute blast to play with. It's amazing at what it does, but bear in mind that it's not for everybody. It's very slow. It took me a long time to get used to it, and if you're sort of a Vector or Groza main, a very sort of aggressive player, this weapon might not be for you unless you can sort of consciously slow yourself down and not push every opportunity, because that's where I've really struggled with this weapon. But in the right circumstances, it is absolutely unparalleled at what it can do. But all in all, I would recommend definitely giving this gun a go. Just be aware it might not be for you. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, drop a like. If you didn't, drop a dislike, subscribe for more, and I'll see you guys in the next one.
I believe in the power of random grenades. Oh, triple kill. Nice.